You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere. This is your WCFW Daily News Roundup for 105.7 CFW in Chippewa Falls and 93.5 The Tap in Eau Claire.
For WCFW News, I'm James Kelly. An Eau Claire library was packed with residents hoping to share their concerns with a staffer from Congressman Derek Van Orden's office on Thursday. Unfortunately, that staffer canceled the meeting after learning over 100 people had signed up to attend. Residents shared concerns like potential Medicaid and SNAP cuts with each other before dropping letters off at Van Orden's office. His office later accused the organizers, Chippewa Valley Indivisible, of unprofessional behavior for sharing the meeting details with the public. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers and the State Building Commission approved a number of public building projects on Thursday, including the demolition of 4 buildings on the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire campus. The school will demolish the Zorn Arena, Brewer Hall, Campus School, and Kajir Theater and turn the sites into walkways and green space. The demolition work is expected to cost around $4 million, which has already been allocated in the current state budget. All 4 of the buildings are over 70 years old. A warrant has been issued for a Cameron man accused of possessing methamphetamine and threatening a law enforcement officer. 38-year-old Andrew Matthews was scheduled to appear in Barron County Circuit Court on Wednesday, but failed to make his appearance. He was out on a $10,000 signature bond after being charged with 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors on February 20th. If convicted on the felony count of threatening an officer, Matthews could face up to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources is sharing gardening tips with residents that don't involve using non-native plants. The tips come in honor of National Invasive Species Awareness Week. Wisconsin has seen some troublesome invasive species spread across the state in recent years, especially the emerald ash borer. Experts say the invasive beetle could destroy 99% of the ash trees in the state. DNR officials say residents should use native plants like Joe Pye weed in their gardens, which looks great and benefits pollinators. A Wisconsin Republican congressman has introduced legislation that would repeal a federal program that provides funding to states to build their electric vehicle infrastructure. Wisconsin was awarded over $78 million through the Biden administration to develop the fast charging stations across the state. So far, $23 million has been allocated for 53 of those stations, including the first few in Chippewa Falls, Menominee, and Ashland. The bill from Congressman Tony Weed could cost Wisconsin about $55 million allocated for the EV chargers. A Brown County judge has dismissed a defamation lawsuit filed by Republican Senate candidate Eric Hovde against a liberal political action committee and media companies. The lawsuit accused the Win Senate PAC of defamation over claims in a commercial that Hovde was running to rig the system and shelter his wealth. The Hovde campaign sent a cease and desist letter regarding the ad in June, but the organization argued that the advertisement was accurate. The judge ruled that accusing Hovde of trying to rig the system was a statement of opinion. The Chippewa County Sheriff's Office is warning residents about an increase in grandparent scams in the area. According to a social media post, the Sheriff's Office received a number of phone calls about the potential scams over the last couple of weeks. They say the scammers use artificial intelligence to mimic an older resident's grandchild, saying they're in jail and need bail money. Law enforcement authorities are reminding residents to be wary of such calls and to hang up and call their family members or the jail directly. A program to help address the growing unhoused population in Eau Claire will begin operations this weekend. The city's Street Ambassador program will seek to connect unhoused individuals in the downtown area with essential services and provide cleaning and hospitality services. The program will be run by Block, which operates around 170 similar programs across the country. Officials hope the program will reduce the need for police and emergency personnel to respond to incidents involving unhoused individuals. The Wisconsin State Assembly held a hearing on a Republican bill that would require sheriffs to assist in federal immigration enforcement efforts this week. The bill would require sheriff's office personnel to ask for proof of citizenship or legal status from any individual arrested on felony-level charges and report unverifiable status to federal immigration officials. It also threatens to cut state aid to offices that do not adhere to the requirements. Governor Tony Evers has already said he will not sign the legislation if it advances to his desk. The Wisconsin Natural Resources Board will be hosting public hearings on standards for PFAS contamination in groundwater over the coming weeks. At their meeting on Wednesday, the board unanimously voted to hold the hearings on proposed standards that mirror Environmental Protection Agency recommendations. The standards would be set at 4 parts per trillion for the 2 most common PFAS compounds and 10 parts per trillion for less common compounds. The current Wisconsin drinking water standards are 70 parts per trillion. For WCFW News, I'm James Kelly.
The Bucks with a win at home. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Milwaukee Bucks with a 121-112 win over the Denver Nuggets. Giannis led with 28 points. Center Brook Lopez added 22.
It was big. That was a very big game for us, a great win. It took everyone, and always the crowd always picks us up.
Although the Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, scored 32 points, Bucks head coach Doc Rivers praised Lopez for keeping up with the Joker.
I thought Brook was fantastic. We matched his minutes exactly with Jokic, which we don't do a lot. The guy's, Jokic, he's really good. He's just really good. He made the shots he makes. They look like there's no way they can go in. And his passing is something to marvel. It just is.
College hoops, UWM with a win over Oakland at the Panther Arena, 71-66. Marquette is at Georgetown, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. The legendary Gene Hackman has passed away at the age of 95. If you haven't already heard, Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, a classically trained pianist, and the couple's dog were found in their New Mexico home. Authorities say they had been dead for a while. Hackman was the star of films like The French Connection, The Poseidon Adventure, Mississippi Burning, The Conversation, and Hoosiers. The late great Hackman moved to Pasadena, California in 1952 after he got out of the Marines and met Dustin Hoffman at the Pasadena Playhouse, where both were voted least likely to succeed. Seems like a pretty cruel award to give to another adult. Despite not having leading man looks, Hackman says he never cared about that and just wanted to act in any capacity. Hackman retired from acting in 2004 and moved to New Mexico, where he became involved in the arts community and wrote books. Gene Hackman is quite often referred to as the greatest American actor. He won Oscars for his role in The French Connection and Unforgiven. Gene Hackman was 95. If you weren't already aware, there will be a Shrek 5, and it will have a fresh-faced new star in the cast, according to Deadline.com. Zendaya will join the cast as Shrek's daughter. If you're scoring at home, that means she will play the offspring of Mike Myers and Cameron Diaz. Eddie Murphy will also be back as Donkey. Shrek 5 will be the first film in the franchise to hit theaters since 2010's Shrek Forever. The 5th installment is expected to grace our screens Christmas of 2026. The death of Gene Hackman will most likely be talked about for weeks to come in the entertainment business. Hackman and his wife Betsy were found dead in their New Mexico home Wednesday. Hackman quietly retired from acting in 2004 after appearing in the film Welcome to Mooseport. In a 2009 interview with Empire magazine regarding his retirement, Hackman revealed that the straw that broke the camel's back was his doctor telling him his heart could no longer handle excessive stress. You might think that the guy that owns the local haberdashery is just a small businessman, but when it comes to Hollywood, chances are he's a trained assassin. Whether it's a regular housewife, an accountant, or even a beekeeper, yes, a beekeeper, Miramax has announced there will be a sequel to The First Beekeeper, which starred Jason Statham. Statham plays a keeper of bees who also knows how to kill people very well, and if you saw the first film, appears to be bulletproof. Production is scheduled to start this fall. Deadline reports that Saoirse Ronan and Austin Butler are set to lead the cast of A24's upcoming Deep Cuts. Saoirse Ronan will also produce the film, which will be directed by Iron Claw's Sean Durkin. Deep Cuts is a love story based on the highly anticipated first novel by author Holly Brickley, which was just released February 25th. For more showbiz fun, tune in to Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
It is going to be really windy today. We have a wind advisory in effect. We're talking gusts from 35 to 45 here for a good chunk of the day. We'll get to around 45-ish midday, but temperatures are going to drop quickly into the low 30s by late afternoon. The wind will die down tonight, tomorrow, sunny and colder, 28. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temperature, 44.
That's your WCFW and the TAP Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WCFW.FM or thetap.fm. The national news cycle never stops. but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.